Our Chattanooga Mayor Tim Kelly joins us now here in the studio to cover a variety of topics. Thanks for getting out in the heat to get over here.
Happy to be here.
Good.
Yeah.
And it is nice and cool inside.
I wish I could do something about that, but unfortunately I cannot. Yeah.
Well, we won't put that on you. Okay. Our most pressing topic right now, of course, we're talking about the two mass shootings that happened in a 2-week span right here. Yeah. And in total, 26 people were shot in shootings on Walnut Street and Macaulay Avenue. 5 people have been arrested. I know you're happy to see all of that happening. And last night we heard from the police department saying a number of initiatives are underway. Tell us about those plans.
Well, again, I'm hopeful that Congress is going to come to some conclusion soon on some federal legislation. That will certainly help, but we have a lot more that we can be doing locally too. And you know, we've got a position in the budget that was just passed last night by City Council for a gun prevention director, and the gun violence task force at the police department will be really cracking down. Chief Murphy has reorganized things at the police department to put a much tighter focus in this area, and then we'll also be working with community centers and other city resources to really address the root causes of gun violence.
Well, Chief Murphy has stepped into this and has only been here for a short time, but
Yes.
she has met these challenges as well as you.
She has indeed. I mean, again, we're lucky to have her, and you know, she's supervised and dealt with problems of this gravity in her career in Atlanta, and she is certainly up to the task, and I have great confidence that we will put a stop to it.
You mentioned another person as a gun control enforcer?
A gun violence prevention director. Well, so we also have an Office of Community Health at the city now, and we are committing, you know, we're considering this a public health crisis, and I think taking that approach to the problem allows us to really look at it as what it is, as an epidemic, and again begin to address the root causes of the problem, and that new director will really head up those efforts.
Okay. We're talking about possibly gang violence, not necessarily, it was gang related, but not gang, I forgot, it was kind of semantics there.
It is.
But what are we talking about?
Well, look, I mean, we are focused on the behavior, not the identity, and I think that's important. One thing we've learned from larger cities that have dealt with what you would call gang violence, like Los Angeles and Chicago, is that you know, a shift to gun violence prevention is much more productive in solving the problem, and so that's where we're focused.
All right, and you've got to get to the root of the problem, but if it's still happening this summer, what other means are being taken? I understand that there was a problem with the cameras near one of the shootings.
Yes, and again, Chief Murphy walked into, you know, during the transition, a set of problems. We've already taken steps to buy more cameras, to put in back inventory so that if we have a failure, we can immediately replace it. And again, she's reorganized so that we'll have rapid response teams if we have large crowds gathering, such as the one that was out in front of Mary's on Macaulay Avenue. We'll have rapid response teams ready to go and break those crowds up. So we have changed the way that we've approached the problem fundamentally since Chief Murphy arrived.
Would you say that the city has a gang problem?
No, again, certainly not in the way that most people want to think about it. I mean, this is not a cartoon, and these are, you know, again, it is largely a semantic problem when you talk about gangs. So if it's helpful in talking about it that way to solve the problem, then fine. But so far we have not found it helpful. Again, our focus is on gun violence prevention wherever we may find it.
One of the people arrested in one of the shootings had a sheet that was just more than a decade long.
Right.
Is there something in the court system that can be done as well, or what kinds of things are you looking at?
Well, we're working. I mean, we've had great support from federal authorities, but the ATF, the FBI, you know, again, the federal attorney's office out of Knoxville, and we will prosecute these folks to the fullest extent of the law. So there's plenty of enforcement to be done with existing law. I think at some point, though, the shooting on Walnut Street's been overlooked, and we are talking about how we might make the juvenile system function in a more productive way, both to rehabilitate juveniles who commit crimes, and unfortunately, you know, sometimes when it's necessary, again, prosecute juveniles that don't appear to have hope of rehabilitation.
And there are no guidelines that say they have to be held responsible. It's only a
Unfortunately not.
juvenile. They can be tried.
So we are convening meetings with our local judicial authorities. They've got some great ideas about how we may improve the situation, and we're looking forward to talking to them. And if that means a legislative approach, we'll be approaching it with our delegation.
All of this has been added to some of the problems that you were already tackling, your administration, when we talk about the homeless camps, the unhoused, and the initiatives that are underway. You want to comment on some of those?
Well, again, this is one of the more stubborn problems. I talked to mayors from all over the country that are dealing with this same issue, and again, the COVID crisis has made it worse. I will say we've had an eviction prevention initiative that has kept about 400 people from becoming homeless. The problem could be much worse, but we have again got our sanction camp opened up, and we've got, I guess, about 30 residents there, and many more moving in the process of moving in. That's going to help. We also, again, are working on a supportive housing piece where we bought a motel that we've got a contractor and a nonprofit partner identified. I recently visited a project like that in Los Angeles, which is very productive, and we know it works. So we are pursuing those strategies to help address the problem.
And those things are included in the budget that was just passed on second reading by the City Council yesterday.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you feel very affirmed by that action. What?
I do, right? I mean, we've got a great relationship with council, and again, to pass a budget 2 years in a row unanimously is no small feat. I don't have any peer mayors that I talk to that enjoy that, but we have a great relationship with council, and we have a great council. We're on the same page, and they believe in the One Chattanooga plan that we've put forth to solve our most difficult problems, and we're hard at work together to solve them.
We did mention that we would address some of the city employees who are unhappy that they were not included in the raise that was proposed in that budget.
Yeah, well, the city is again a behemoth. I think a lot of folks forget it's the 9th largest employer in the region. There's 2,600 employees there, and there are, again, we had this issue with Head Start employees because they're actually federal employees, and we sort of had to do some workarounds, and this latest round is no different than that. But again, we have new leadership in the HR department, and we're working to address all those issues.
Well, keep us posted on all this.
We will, don't worry. Yeah, no shortage of things to do.
Well, we certainly appreciate your willingness to come in and sit down and answer these questions. And one more we wanted to ask about. We're starting to see people return to normal after the pandemic of 2 years. And are we returning to normal, and how will it impact everyone? You and I have been sitting here talking about the fact that both of us have had COVID, as careful as we've been.
Yes.
And
well, look, I mean, I think the city is still very interested in getting people vaccinated. Our vaccination rate is still not what it should be. And it's worth noting that the illness is much milder if you're vaccinated. You can learn more at vax.com. But we have transitioned clearly from pandemic to endemic status, and this is something we're going to be living with, right? So I think everybody's getting used to figuring out how to manage this in our daily lives and still remain productive and happy. The statistic that I look at and that I'm really concerned with is hospitalizations, and that number is not increasing. It's still quite low.
And we were glad to see that.
Yes, of course.
And I'm talking about it today because I know so many people have just kind of brushed it under the carpet or whatever else. And we need to let folks know that you could possibly still be at risk.
Absolutely.
And be careful out there.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep.
Mayor Kelly, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Likewise.
And keep us posted.
Will
Thank
do.
you for being open to it. We'll be right back after this.